everyone, welcome to the video. My name is Maze, and in this video I'm finally going to be doing the detail work on the custom wooden box I made a while back. Now that video was my most popular video for a long time, and it's still my most popular project video, and it always bothered me and never sat right with me that it didn't show off my best work. So if you haven't seen that video, I still think it's worth a look. But basically, due to time constraints, I couldn't do the final step on the paint job, the detail work. And as you can see in the pictures, the lines are just not crisp. And you can see chipping and flaking along the edges, and there's some primer that's exposed. So this is not Maze quality work here. So I was really anxious to get my hands on it again. I told the client that after the party was done that I wanted it back so that I could do a good job, something I could be happy with and proud of. And so with that out of the way, let's make some dust. Not really though, there's no dust in this video. I'm just trying to protect my reputation in this one. The first thing I had to do was break it down. So I took off the lid, and so I had tried these barrel hinges for the first time on this project, and they worked alright, but the way the lid was designed, it was kind of cantilevering them out and making them loose. So I'll have to fix that when I put the lid back on. I also had to remove the bow, so I sawed that off. And the 1/4-inch dowel I used to glue it on was also didn't secure it as much as I would like. It's a little too flimsy, so I'll have to fix that as well. The first thing I had to fix, however, was the paint job. So I prepped the surface for paint, which in this case was just sanding it to 220. Now I had put polyurethane on it last time, so this was mainly to abrade the surface so the paint would have something to stick to. And this got me back to the point where I normally would have detailed it, but which I had to skip last time and go straight to clear coat. So I was basically back to the point I was at when I deviated from my normal process. And with the boring part out of the way, it was time to get to the fun stuff. First thing I needed to do was get a nice even coat of my base color, which is a very soft lavender color, almost white, but there's this nice subtle hint of purple in there. Now I'm not at all worried about getting the lavender color on the other colors. As a matter of fact, I'm purposely overlapping the lavender, making sure to paint the sides of the ribbon and the bottom part of the letter so my base color overlaps where I want my transition line to go. So after I let that dry overnight, I came back to do the second color. So the first thing you need to do is be very picky and careful with your tape, getting it exactly where you want your line to be. And then the trick to getting a nice crisp line is to pull the tape off while the paint is still wet. If you let it dry, the paint will stick to the tape and it will tear and rip along the edge and make it jaggedy and ugly. This is what happened last time, and it's okay for the first few coats of paint. It's not okay on the last coat. The last coat, what you do is what I'm doing here, which is pull it off before it dries. You have to be careful, of course, because you could mess it up, but it's not super hard. You could do it, you'll be fine. And again, I'm purposefully overlapping the pink onto the gray. Again, after letting it dry, I do the next color. And this is basically a base coat for the letter. You can see me being real careful painting the sides, but I'm just practicing my painting. I come back later and make sure to overlap the gray onto the other colors, just like I've been overlapping the other colors onto the gray. The main thing is to make sure that the top and the sides of the letter are nice and grayed out. In this clip we can see how the gray is overlapping the other colors. Now the main reason we did this was because it would be nearly impossible to tape around the letter to somehow cut out those curves and stuff around the letter to give us a nice clean line. So when we do it this way, we can tape the side of the letter and reapply the other colors to give us that nice line. So here we are doing the pink. I don't know about you, but seeing it on camera reminds me of calamine lotion back in the days of chicken pox a little bit. But tell me in the comments down below what you think. And then here's me doing the white. I mean the lavender. It's very subtle. It even looks more white on camera than in real life. It's called like Mystic Mist or Mystic Mountain or Mystic Mountain Mist, something like that. Anyway, here's me doing the last little bit of detail work. Obviously I had painted the bottom and the bow too, and then I put a few coats of poly, like 4 or 5 coats on it all, and that was the painting done. The next thing to do was to reattach the bow. Now last time I used a 1/4 inch dowel to attach it and it got a little flimsy, so this time I used a 3/8 inch dowel. So I drilled a hole in the bow and then glued the dowel into the hole. Then I cut the dowel to size and drilled a hole in the letter. But I made sure to drill this hole deeper than the dowel this time. Last time I think my hole wasn't deep enough, so the bow was slightly proud of the letter, leaving it supported by only the dowel, and this left a 1/16 or maybe an 1/8 of an inch of the dowel exposed. And I think it got handled or twisted and weakened the wood, making it a little bit flimsy. So this time I used a thicker dowel, and I also made sure the back of the bow came in contact with the letter so there would be no exposed dowel to hopefully strengthen this connection and give it some more support. Then it was time to reattach the lid and see what was going on there. So I figured out it was that because the lid overhangs the bottom, when you open the box, once it gets past 90 degrees, it wants to pull the hinges out. But another problem is if you open it less than 90 degrees, it won't hold itself open. So the obvious solution to this problem is a lid support. Now I surprisingly found this one at Lowe's that I thought looked really nice, but I did have to modify it a little bit to get it to work. So when installing a hinge or a lid support in this case, or really hardware in general, you always want to drill pilot holes first. Always drill a pilot hole, then drill in the screw to that hole before moving to the next one, so that it keeps everything in place and helps keep the holes aligned. Once I got the top side in, I had to do the bottom side. This was a little bit scary because I had to saw off some of the screw because it was too long. And then I put tape on my drill bit to work as a drill stop, and I had to just hope that I would not drill through the side, and this was totally nerve-wracking as a week's worth of work was on the line. But it turned out alright, and I got the bottom screwed in. And as you can see, it worked out. It wouldn't open past 85 degrees-ish or something like that, and it held itself open. The lid support wouldn't let it close all the way though, so I needed to cut out a place for the lid support to rest, so I needed to take off the lid. Then I used a marking knife to mark out the area that I needed to remove, a chisel to make a distinct knife wall, and then a router to route out most of the area I needed. Then it was back to the chisel to clean it up and square up the corners. And lastly, because the screw heads stuck out a little, I had to drill shallow holes so the heads of the screws would have a place to go. And then I got to reattach the lid for the last time. And as you can see, the lid support worked out exactly like I hoped it would. I did have to come back and paint the wood I had exposed just to, finish it off, but it was finally done, and it was finally done to the best of my ability. I could finally look at it and be proud of it. And there you go, finally done. Looking good. You can see the lines are nice and crisp now. There's no chipping or flaking. The colors are nice and solid. And I got to fix the hinges and the bow, which is a bonus. Sometimes when you're making custom things that are one of a kind, you don't always know what's going to work good and what's not going to work as well as you hoped. So it's nice to see this one come back to me and be able to not only fix the paint, but everything else. And hopefully his granddaughter will have this box for a long time to come. So tell me what you think in the comments below. I think it's sexy, but let's ask my friend Will what he thinks. Hey Will, it's done. Come check it out. So what do you think, man?
Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
And that's the video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you liked it. If you did, if you would hit that like button, I'd very much appreciate it. And before you go, I got a special announcement from everybody's favorite YouTuber, PewDiePie.
Smash, subscribe, smash, subscribe, smash, subscribe, smash, subscribe, smash, subscribe. What are we gonna do? Smash, subscribe. That's right.
That is right, PewDiePie. Thank you very much. And as always, support your local craftsmen or get out in your workshops and make your own dust.